The naivety is like shining through so large right now. The fact that you think that Kickstarter is like this hollowed ground, you probably bought NFTs and you were like, I'm a shareholder now.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Gamified 156. I'm here with a bang-up panel and some amazing topics. Up first, he's bringing the founder perspective, product taste, and the kind of pattern recognition with equal parts precision and personality. He is the prince of parallel games. It's Kohji Nagata.
Hey, Sam, thanks for having me back. Anyone who listened last week knows that I did not end it all, and I'm happy to be here.
This show's the only reason he's holding on. Up next, this man is a business-brained bullshit detector with a gift for cutting through the hyped corporate talking points and whatever lazy narrative the industry is trying to sell this week. Now assisting Griffin gaming partners, it is Chris Heatherley.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right. Up next, he's got one of the wildest combinations of credentials we've ever had on the panel. A lawyer, Nintendo publisher, manga author, and founder, making him a full-on multidisciplinary menace. It is Michael Christine.
Hello, hello, hello.
God damn it. Up next, this guy's a sharp-tongued chaos agent who always brings conviction, clarity, and just the right amount of combativeness to the conversation, leading the Digital Collectors Club and likely ripping packs and playing RuneScape as we speak. It's Gnoc.
Guy's got a camera in my office here. New leagues drop, demonic packs. I'm absolutely playing RuneScape as we speak.
And up next, she's a culture-savvy content lead and a seasoned journalist who's printed breaking stories at PCMag and Decrypt, showing off surprisingly signal-rich corners of the internet. Now, head of content at Veda, it's Kate Irwin.
Hello, glad to be here on video. This is exciting.
Good to have you back, Kate, formerly a regular pre-video days, and I've been looking forward to having her back on the show. And last but not least, he's a data-driven decoder of audience behavior who's spent years turning research, measurement, and market messiness into stories that are useful, actionable, and impossible to ignore. First time on the panel, it's Colan. Neese. Colin, anything I missed?
No, man. I just feel like I hope I live up to that standard. I just think I'm okay at my job. So thanks, man. Happy to be on.
We're only bringing the best here at Gamified. Great to have you, brother. Excited to have you on the show for the first time. And on today's episode, we'll talk about if launching a trailer for a game while it's still in a Word document is fair or foul, Disney and Epic's choice to launch an extraction shooter as their first big game together, the mess that is Gunzilla and Ashes of Creation, and 2K surprise dropping a Borderlands mobile game, plus a Roblox game that launched last year that's already getting a movie at 20th Century Studios. But first, topic number one, what's the word for SteamGPT? And let's design the version that doesn't suck. Here's what we know so far. Steam was recently data mined, and people found references to SteamGPT, SteamML, SteamML admin, and SteamGPT summary. The leak doesn't really say what the purpose of this is, so we're not going to argue about whether or not AI on Steam is good or bad because we know it's coming. We're designing the version that you'd actually want. There was a lot of backlash to Microsoft Copilot being introduced into Xbox. If Valve is going to do this, what's the implementation that makes Steam better without making you cringe? Again, what's the word? Give me your word first. We'll go around the panel, and then we'll jump into everybody's specific opinion. Michael, I'm starting with you first. What's the word?
The word is discovery.
Word is karma.
The word is early.
Hypocrisy.
The word is boycott because I can't wait for gamers to boycott Steam.
Inevitable. It's inevitable.
Kohji, I'm going to you first, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm going to steal some of Michael's steam here, but you know, LLMs are predictive models by nature. They're good at predicting what you want. You know, they're filling in the blank. They're trying to figure out what the next word is in the sentence, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that, like, the thing that makes the most sense is you like these games. Here are the next games in line. And I know that they already try and do that, but, like, predictive models are especially good at that and can scour their entire database of user data and throw together, you know, not just similar gamers to you, but basically here are your doppelgangers online. Here's what they're playing that you're not playing, and vice versa, and just get the games that you want in your hands.
Michael, going to you next.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think right now Steam's biggest issue is there's just so many games on there, and it's really, really hard to discover this game, that game, this game. So if they provide a mechanism that knows the gamer, knows what they like, and then starts actually giving them game suggestions that they'll actually maybe play. I think this is something that can help indie game developers out in terms of discoverability. It's something that'll help the gamers out. I don't see AI as this like monolith of evil that a lot of people do. So I think once people start to understand how AI can be used in their favor and to help them, it's going to be a pretty significant move for them.
There was also a massive Steam discovery update recently that turned it more into like a feed that was serving you instead of a discovery categorization thing. Colan, what's your take on this one? It may be inevitable, but how do we make it not suck ass?
Oh my gosh. Inevitable. It's inevitable because like all companies are going to go in this direction, even the ones who quote unquote espouse that this is not the direction they're going to go in. So that's inevitable. And I think the discovery is the main thing I would touch on. Like, what's the value of the consumer? Discovery is can I say how mean words on this show?
You can.
Ass. It's ass, right? It sucks. Right? It's awful. It's something I write about continuously. And like, if TikTok is the best engine to discover games, then we've done something wrong as a gaming industry. If short form video is the access point to a new game. So if Steam's going to use it for discovery, I mean, I think that has a lot of value to gamers. They just don't want Copilot. You know why Copilot sucks? Because it just sucks. It's awful. It's somehow they took ChatGPT, put it in a box and made it 50 times worse than if I just went to the website ChatGPT and OpenAI and used that right out of the box. So gamers just don't want something that's ass, right? And hopefully Valve is going to take care in building something that's not ass. And I guess the next question gamers are going to have is, what's the underlying LLM behind it? Like, it's not their own. Let's be clear.
Coming out of the gates hot is Colan. I love it. Kate, going to you next.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reports suggests that this is being used for anti-cheat and support, like customer support in CS. So that, I think, is an area that we really need more of a lift from the gaming industry. I think anti-cheat needs an upgrade. I think we need more options there. I think customer support across the board with every company under the sun, you know, small to large, needs AI-powered support that actually works and that actually understands human language. And so I'm hopeful. I think this is early though, because, you know, if you call pretty much any customer support line on the phone, the experience is still absolutely terrible to this day. So I am looking forward to seeing if their updates will be any better than the current status quo. But yeah.
Gnoc, tagging you in. You were a big first-person shooter esports guy with Fortnite. Anti-cheat probably rings a bell for you too. How do you feel about what Kate just said?
Yeah, how the turntables, how funny it is that they're, you know, not even actually currently still giving the scarlet letter to any game that wants to leverage AI, and are now getting shit on for the fact that they are talking about the fact that they might leverage AI. I think anti-cheat is a real path. I think it's a tricky thing to tackle. Obviously, the games that are most successful with it are doing so at a kernel level of detection, which is actually on the physical device. It's a little bit different when you're not going down to that level. We know that the Steam machine cannot support games that have kernel level anti-cheat. So there's an argument to be made, hey, maybe we solve this problem outwards, where now those games can now be live on Steam machine because we've got an alternative to the kernel level anti-cheat. But I think ultimately what's going to happen, and the word I should have said is probably enshittification, because what you're going to see now is they're going to lose on discovery. They're going to get people pissed off because they're leveraging AI. They're going to lose in the hardware capacity. And the thing that Steam has always been great about, which is customer support, is about to go downhill as you argue with an AI chatbot for 45 minutes until you figure out how to reverse engineer getting to speak to a human. I think that this is a net negative for Steam. And I think they've put themselves in a hole that they're not going to be able to climb out of because of their existing stance to people who leverage their platform, who also leverage AI. They have been anti-AI, or at the very least, unfriendly to people who are using AI within the Steam ecosystem. And now they're catching some fire for leveraging it themselves. It'll be funny to watch them navigate out of this one.
I see some big head nods out of Chris and Kohji. Chris, I'm going to you.
Who's wearing the scarlet letter now, Gabe? Who's wearing the scarlet letter now? Is he going to put the scarlet letter on the front of Steam when you load up so that we know that they're using AI? And how fucking sneaky of them to sneak it into, to a little update in there, and people have to discover it. Why not just come out and declare your intentions? So now that they need AI to make their business more efficient, they can use it. but we're bad guys for using it. They created this whole moral panic. They poured fuel on this fire. And when their users shit on them, they're going to absolutely deserve it, because this was, like everyone said, it's inevitable. But they created, they've kept this whole like bitch fest going for months and months and months. So I look forward to them having to deal with it, like they've unleashed these piranhas on their developers.
It's funny, he was using the word Steam machine, and I forgot what that was because I'm so used to calling it the Gabe Cube at this point. I forgot that's not the real name of it. Coach, I'm going to you, and then Michael also threw a thumbs down. We'll see what that's about in just a sec. Kohji?
Sorry, I was muted. I was trying to do the right thing here. I usually leave myself unmuted, but I don't agree with Gnoc at all. I don't know when you would ever need to speak to somebody at Steam for any reason. Whenever I have a problem, they're just like, here's your money back. And I'm like, great, it was perfect. This is exactly what I want from support. But the truth is, like, we don't even know what their plan is with it or how they're going to use it. We're just sort of assuming. And then we're also just assuming that people are going to be upset about it. I wonder if there's a line in which, gamers are like, keep AI out of my games, but I'm sure they're using it in their search engine results, in their, other day-to-day lives. And do they really care about it? I'm not entirely sure about that. And I also think this question is kind of silly because I don't know if most people realize just how big a leap forward AI in general has had, and what kind of technology it actually is. The question is like, is a company going to use internet in their day-to-day lives, right? It's just like, now that the internet exists, every company in the world, it has some sort of online presence or uses the internet in some way, even if it's just people searching your hours of operation online or your phone number or whatever. Like, it exists. And I think the same thing's going to be said with companies using AI, because it exists and is going to be so ubiquitous. There's no way that not every company is going to utilize it. It seems insane.
Got a round of applause from Colan on that one. Michael, going to you and then to Gnoc.
Yeah, no, I just I love Gnoc's focus on the Steam machine, not the Gabe Cube like we like to fondly call it, but Gnoc's focus on the Steam machine, just not having the games that he likes to play, meaning that it's a big failure, is just the funniest thing ever. So I had to give a throwback to our episode back in November when we just that thumbs down everything Gnoc said just continuously. I thought it was appropriate at the time.
Speaking of, let's go to him.
Yeah, just go back to that clip and watch what I said about what the price of that machine was going to be, and everybody disagreed with me. And we see what that looks like now. I'll say this. One of the things that's really interesting is Steam is probably the biggest aggregator, or one of the biggest aggregators of gamer spend data. And I think one of the things that will be interesting to see is how they leverage AI to parse that data and increase spend or retargeting of some of these users. I think when you look at something like CS, they're making a couple $2 billion a year just off of the CS crates, but there's no reason to assume that they don't want to make that $3 or $4 or $5 billion. You've seen them take moves to kind of squash that market and claim a little bit more, give people less of a reason to trade, high ticket items offside of Steam. So I would venture to bet that one of the ways that they'll implement AI on the platform is to parse the massive amounts of spend data that they've got, because it's good for business. And somebody made the joke earlier that they want to increase the revenue per employee. They're already one of the most profitable companies on the planet in that metric. If you can get more efficient at extracting dollars from people on the platform, that number goes up. So in all seriousness, the real route is probably something to do with user spend or user data and the aggregation of that data so that they can be more effective with the data that they've collected.
Let's go back to Kate Irwin.
I am one of those people who's like, I want to speak to a human. I want to speak to a human. I want to speak to a human. Give me human operator 000, like get angry in 2 seconds. Like, I am that kind of a person when it comes to customer service that's automated right now. And the reason is because it sucks right now. It's really, really bad right now. It has so much room to be improved. And so I think, like, for me, I don't need to speak to a human if I get what I want quickly and if it's resolved quickly. And if I don't have to wait on the phone for 30 minutes because they only have like 2 humans and they're in like a different time zone. And, they're low on shifts today because people got sick or something. Like, and this is kind of a double-edged sword and kind of a challenge, a new challenge that the AI era really brings forward for us is this question of like, how much power do we give the AI, right? Like, if we actually want the AI to be effective, it needs to have a significant amount of permissions and power in order to be able to give us what we want, right? To be able to give us those full refunds, to be able to give us, hundreds of dollars back, to be able to like make those more escalated decisions that would often involve like a half an hour human phone call, and then they have to escalate it to their manager, right? Like, the AI essentially just needs more power, and it needs to be smarter. And then we will actually have effective AI customer service. The downside of that, obviously, is that, the AI, if there's a exploit or something like that, that the AI may pose a security risk. But the reality is that in current customer support, there's already security risk with real humans. So I think it's a trade-off.
That's a great point. I'm long-term bullish on getting to use AI customer support because I agree with you. I think it will eventually be a better experience than what we have right now. But I got stuck in a loop with PayPal where it kept being like, just connect your stuff. And then it would error when it would connect. And there was no way. I could not figure out a single email, a single phone number, a single anything. They've just cut everything except for the AI support, and I was in shambles about it. Let's go to Gnoc real quick, who's having a fit in the chat, and then we'll go to Colan.
Listen. At the end of the day, better for who? Not fucking you, not the consumer. Better for the bottom line, better for the profit to employee ratio. What they will use AI is the exact same way that healthcare in the United States has developed, where we have AI tooling now in the US that finds a reason to deny you from every single claim you make. You want your money back, Kohji? Guess what? We've now got your play data to understand that, hey, maybe you didn't actually give this game a chance and you purchased it, and we're not going to refund you because you didn't log the correct number of minutes, but you've logged too many minutes now where you no longer matter. And you've done this 3 or 4 times in the past, so this doesn't count. It's going to be better. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to be better for the consumer. No company wants to increase the number of consumers who can get back their money for the thing that they purchased. They want to do the opposite. It moves in the other direction. So yeah, AI will make it better, not for you.
Let me
Don't abuse customer support, Gnoc.
We didn't want to buy books on the internet. We wanted to go into the bookstore.
Look, I have to jump in on this. First off, like, we're all pretending that Valve or some employee at Valve doesn't use AI. I find that to be I have a bridge to nowhere to sell you if you don't think they're using AI now, whether it be through a Zendesk integration or whatever that might be. Like, AI is already involved in their organization, whether they make it public or not. Don't know, but I'm just going to assume that's the case, and they'd be lying to you if they say otherwise. My second bit is like, so it goes back to like, what are they? I sympathize with the customer service experience. I literally tried to call my healthcare provider and got stuck in a doom loop of like an AI chatbot that wouldn't let me talk to a human at the operating desk. So it sucks now, but I would say like it's the worst it's going to be today, right? Today. And here's an upside of AI usage to Valve. Like, I assume they're part of the secret cult that Claude had opened up. Well, Project Mythos. I'm sure Chris knows all about that and read up on it. Where you have Anthropic out there saying our AI is too powerful to use, except for you 12 to 15 companies that give us enough money that will let you in the back door first. So you can fix all your ancient code. There's so much marketing spin that goes on in this space. It just drives me crazy. Like, our AI is too powerful, except for you folks to use first. Like, so is this going to kill us all, or is this just a way to like up your valuation so your IPO hits bigger? You could buy a bigger yacht in Greece at some point, because that's I suspect what they're going to do, right? Anyway, like, I assume they're going to use it on the back end first. Maybe it doesn't see the customer experience out the gate, but maybe they're just trying to fix their leaky, old, awful, _awful. Steam is an awful platform. There is so much work that can be done with AI that just modernize it, even on the back end. Even if we just get the same shitty front end of Steam forever and we just accept that as our fate, like it's the Craigslist of gaming, okay, but then the back end just runs more smoothly. I'm all for that as a consumer.
I love calling Steam the Craigslist of gaming. That's incredible. On that note, we're going to move on. A surprise launch and then just calling it an alpha. Is this a red flag or a green flag? And are you going to buy or sell this idea? 2K and Zynga shadow dropped a limited time test for an untitled Borderlands Mobile project. But at first, we didn't know there was just a limited time test. Publicly, they just launched Borderlands Mobile, but eventually clarified later that it was actually a test, not necessarily the final name even or the final release of the game. It was only on iOS, etc. That creates a tension that the players have seen before. Obviously, this is maybe shades of High Guard potentially, where High Guard should have just been like, oh, it was a prank, bro. That was an alpha, and gone back into the development for 6 months before everybody's opinions of it was cemented. A game gets the upside of a surprise launch, headlines, free marketing, user attention, player data, feedback, etc. But only once the criticism starts rolling in, the player or the publisher, gets to say, oh, it was just an alpha, it was just a test. So the topic isn't really about, is Borderlands Mobile good or bad? It's really whether this idea of how you should launch things is a red flag or a green flag. What do you guys think?
Absolutely a red flag.
It's a green flag.
It is a red flag.
It's a green flag.
It's the greenest of flags. The
Green, just solid green.
Well, to me, it's a red flag just because clearly everybody knows what you're doing. And it's one of those things that it's like, do you think your player base is this dumb to not know that you're just like, oh, I didn't actually mean to launch this? Like, it's basically like, hey guys, tell us how much we suck, and then we're gonna tell you that we meant to suck the whole time. So that's kind of what they're doing here, in my opinion. And I just don't think that's the proper way to launch a game, especially one with a IP like Borderlands. Like, yeah, maybe if you're an indie dev and you don't know what you're doing, sure, test the waters. But you're an established studio, you have established trust, you have established fan bases. Don't treat them as if they're the dumbest people in the world. Like, they know what you're doing, they understand what you're doing, and now, in my opinion, the expectations are even higher because you just took a shot at our intelligence.
Kohji, what's the you called this the greenest of flags? Why is that?
Yeah, I think in this day and age, it's totally fine for somebody to just drop something out of nowhere, let people try it, and then, make changes based on that. Like, what would be worse is what we got before, which is people are like, no, it's good and you're wrong, And so I think that the idea of being like, well, you know what, we're going to take this back to the shop and rework it makes a lot of sense. We also live in a world where we have previews for previews, like they have teasers for trailers for movies that are going to come out a year from now. We know so much more about the gaming industry. Like, most of the articles written are about the industry itself and not about the actual fucking games. That, like, I think that we can all maybe benefit from taking a step back and being like, oh, let these guys just shock drop this thing, see what they can learn about it, fix it, and then put it out in full release. And that's fine. And the fact that we're complaining about that is the reason why our games will continue to be dog shit for the rest of our lives. Like,
but Kohji, let me ask you a question. If they released it and let's say all the comments were positive as hell, does that mean, hey guys, we actually have a finished game? We just wanted to surprise you with it. Yeah, or was the intention to always go back and make it better?
What's wrong with that though? Okay, if they released it and someone was like, I love this, you don't need to change anything, and then they don't, isn't that also fine? Like, I don't see why that either one of those is a problem. Like, both of those things is what I would want if I reacted to something and I was like, this isn't good enough. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to fix it. Good. And if I'm like, this is the best game I've ever played, don't touch it. And they're like, okay, we're not going to touch it. I'd be like, that's great. I don't see any downside to either of those.
I see the deception.
I'm going to figure out how I turned into Casper the Friendly Ghost real quick, but we're going to go to Kate Irwin. She's on the red side. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a red for Borderlands fans. Like, if you do something like this, it suggests more caution, and it suggests maybe concern around, like, if this is a mobile launch, maybe we'll get another like Diablo Immortal situation where people just complain that it's not a PC game. And they say, don't you have phones or whatever? So maybe this is red for existing Borderland fans because it's a mobile game and that may not appeal to them. They may not like it. They may compare it to the PC game, unfairly so, right? And so they may just be trying to tap into a completely different audience. The mobile gaming audience is massive. It is so huge. It is so diverse. It is often so different from, the guys that I have to listen to every time I drop into Apex Legends. Yeah, I think like it could be a red for the existing Borderlands fans who maybe are more diehard. I think it may also be a red from just like a marketing perspective. Like if you're not going to put resources into promoting something, it does suggest like some hesitation there, especially from a studio that has like unlimited money. It suggests like that maybe this is experimental, or maybe that they're not so sure about it.
It's a great point. We just saw this out of PUBG too with their game. I think it was called Point Blank, and it was kind of a Rainbow Siege-esque game with a top-down perspective. And they literally released an alpha only for 2 months, never got more than 3,000 concurrent players. I never heard about it until I saw the headline that it was already shut down. So maybe some shades of that. Colin says it's a green flag, though. Going to you next.
I mean, first off, let's just give a round of applause for some corporate synergy. I love seeing Zynga partner with 2K to make a Borderlands mobile game. That's some A+ corporate synergy going on there. So hats off. Second, like none of this matters to Take-Two stock price. It's all GTA. Nothing else matters. So they can do whatever they want to do. It has no impact on their actual business valuation. So it's all just like a nice distraction as they kind of march toward the inevitable GTA 6 launch. I mean, presumably at some point in the future. Just from my perspective, Data, I think shooters operate in a very unique category where the playbook is to release your game in, call it alpha, call it early access, call it oopsie doopsie leaks. It doesn't really matter, but you need your game out at least twice. Like players need to play the game twice before it's finally ready for consumer consumption. Like the most successful games, like Marvel Rivals, they had two early access points. You have Arc Raiders 2, Battlefield 2, right? It's a 2 playbook. And the ones that fail, the high guards are like, here's our game, it's done. And then people go, this is not a complete game. You need to change this, and then it just fails on its face and dies a death, right? So I think shooters operate in just a different category. And then mobile shooters are just even more different. Where I take pause is like, I love that Zynga's trying to make a mobile shooter, but like, shouldn't this been made by Tencent? And wasn't this the audience in China basically for this game? Like, who's playing mobile shooters that are not in China or Brazil or India? But if you think you're going to Brazil and India, you're going to fight Free Fire, Godspeed to you. Good luck. You'll lose that one. But I don't know who this is for. That's my only question. So I'm a green flag for corporate synergy purposes. I'm a green flag that the playbook they're doing is right, but I'm a yellow flag on what's the point of this game actually.
Great stuff from Colin. Chris, tagging you in.
Yeah, well said. I think the best time to find out that your game sucks is yesterday, and the next best time is today. So I'm always in favor of testing early and testing often. It's not unusual to do a beta test and then pull it down. So I don't think that's a flag in any way. But I do think that this product, I'm very skeptical that this product is going to be well received. I mean, even Call of Duty standalone mobile product, failed after, I think it was a year or 2 years. The games that tend to do well in shooter land are cross-play shooters from the console and PC where people can grind their battle pass objectives. It's just shooters don't tend to be mobile isn't the primary platform for shooters unless you're in China or in Asia. And I think Colin's right about that. And the people who are the best at it are Tencent and NetEase, who probably should have been the partner on this. So I agree with a lot of Colin's analysis. I think it's a questionable product proposition, but I think the only thing to me is there are cheaper ways to find out if you're right or you're wrong, like focus groups, or like there's a lot of other research tools that you could employ to find out if people wanted this product or not, other than developing it to the point that you put it into an alpha.
I mean, to be fair, focus groups didn't work out so well for High Guard, so.
You mean the staff?
Because they closed their eyes. I'll give one on the side of Michael and Kate. I agree largely with what Colin, Kohji, and Chris said. I also think it's absolutely fucking hilarious that they didn't have the balls to come out and say this is an early alpha or this is the full release. And they're like, well, why don't you tell us which one of those two things it should be? And we'll make a decision based on what right? And to the defense of Michael and Kate, I think that is probably why it's a little bit of a red flag, right? Make a decision. Show, who is it that says it? Jerry wants some gusto. Show some gusto. Make a decision on whether or not this is an early access game or this is a full launch, but don't play with you make the decision for us and we'll operate according to how you give us feedback. I think that if you're going to point something out, I think it's an act of cowardice to release it this way. But to Koji's point, I also think like I'm a big fan of the early access things. I want to see people get their hands on a game and tell us that it's bad or tell us why they love it. But if you're going to go that route, don't be a coward about it.
It's like choose your own adventure book, publisher edition.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in a world where the Snyder Cut exists. You tell us it's become the mantra of the entire corporate world. You know what I mean? It's not even just give the people what they want. Let the people tell us what they want, and then we'll regurgitate it to them. It's brutal, man.
I think we should dub this either Schrodinger's release or the high guard insurance policy. I'll let you guys decide, but I'm going to refer to it as one of those from now on. Moving on to topic number 3, Disney's gaming universe starts with an extraction shooter. Sentiment score is what I'm asking you for here as Colin face bombs. What's your sentiment score on a scale of 0 to 10? 10 being, man, they couldn't have picked a better thing to do. 0 being the complete opposite of that. It is garbage. Bloomberg reports Epic has been building a Disney extraction shooter as the first major game to emerge from Disney's $1.5 billion investment in Epic Games, part of a larger plan for a multi-game universe built around Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and Pixar properties. The game is reportedly on track with a November of this year launch, but internal reviewers have already raised concerns that the mechanics, this is shocking, lack originality. I know. We thought extraction shooter is going to be incredibly original. If your first big swing is an extraction shooter, are you immediately narrowing the appeal of a gigantic family-friendly IP portfolio into something more niche, hardcore, and volatile? Give me your sentiment score of Disney's gaming universe starting out with an extraction shooter. Michael, starting with you.
It takes 1 to play and 2 to tango. It's a big fat 2.
I'm glad Colin asked before the show if we were allowed to give negative scores, because I'm going to give it a solid -2 here.
I'm excited about this. I think it makes sense. I'm more positive. I'm like a 6 or 7.
I don't know. 0, is that low enough?
No, the floor goes further. I'm going -10. I'm so anti this that it circles all the way to the most negative sentiment you can give something on the 10-point scale. -10.
Yeah, I'm gonna challenge my panel mates here just a little and go like 4. I think it's a 4.
All right, I'm going to Chris with the 0, given his former Disney experience. Then we're going to tag in Kate.
In the future of Disney, there is only war. I'm holding out. To be fair, I'm going to hold out some hope that there's some brilliant idea here around it's the Splatoon of extraction shooters, and it doesn't sound like what we're imagining it to be. So I have to withhold, not to be a hater, I have to withhold judgment until we see what it is. However, Disney brand management is my cruel tutelage of Pai Mei. If you've ever seen Kill Bill, remember the scene where they where Pai Mei rips out the guy's eyeball? That's what would happen to me if I did anything off brand. And so I just have way too much PTSD to I'm just trained to not want to do this kind of idea. I think if it's what we're all envisioning, it's the most cynical, uncreative thing, and the most genre tone deaf move that you could possibly make. But maybe there's some brilliance there. We'll see.
Chris, I want to double click real quick before I go around the panel. Given that experience that you just described, which is you would have had a body part ripped off of you if you had suggested something like this to your time at Disney, is this the sign of a major culture shift that these are the kinds of shots on goal that they're taking over there now? How do you consolidate that in your brain?
Well, what I hear is they're trying to be more video game friendly and kind of back off of the conceits. I mean, it started to get a little ridiculous where every single game they wanted to do the mashup, right? And then they had to come up with some conceit for that. And, one would be the Mirrorverse, and then another one would be, some other idea, but they were all the same idea. It was all a portal opens and everybody walks out or something. And so, they kept rehashing and coming up with these really creatively overbearing ideas to get all the characters together. So I think it's fine to just say hey, we're going to lean into video game conceits and we're not going to think too hard. you know, we're going to retard max this. I think it's great, right? I think backing off and giving the game makers more latitude to make fun games, because God knows I got forced into making some very unfun shit or some stuff that wasn't as fun as it should have been because I had brand management people telling me, you know, I mean, we had a story time. So we had a Star Wars game that we were doing with Kabam. And they were like, we want to set it in the time after Empire, before the new movie. We were like, great. And they were like, what do you want to do in the game? And we were like, well, we want to have Jedis running around with lightsabers. They were like, oh, can't do that. Jedis are all dead. And we were like, well, what can you like? Oh, well, can we have, you know, Han and Chewie? Well, we don't know where they are. They're hiding out somewhere. And we were like, okay, so we can't have any characters. We can't have any Jedi. We can't like, and so it's that kind of thing where it just kills all the fun, right? So I think now the pendulum may be swinging back maybe a little too far the other way. We'll see.
But before I'm just going to jump in, and you were just describing the plot of Andor, which is probably one of the best Star Wars properties ever. So just saying, I think we can have fun without Chewie and Jedi.
Tony Gilroy did a way better job than I did, clearly.
One more note before I go to Kate. This is the first time I can remember in the last like 6 episodes that we've done on video where every single panelist at the same time has like basically wanted to go first, which I think speaks to how visceral a reaction you have to the idea of a Disney extraction shooter. Kate, you gave it a 6 or a 7. I'm heading to you.
Yeah, I mean, this image that we're seeing on screen is pretty bad, right? Like it just looks like AI slop, but I don't think that's an official image. So
it's not.
We don't know if, you know, Mickey Mouse is going to be holding an AK-47. I think that's pretty unlikely. I don't think they're going to do that. I would be shocked if they did. I think the brand teams would probably have their own meltdown if that was the case. So obviously that image does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like making us hate this viscerally immediately. But like Marvel Rivals, okay? Look at Marvel Rivals, Marvel, owned by Disney, one of the most successful shooter games that we've seen. It is a total mashup thing. It is a total like non-canonical, like here are all the characters in one battlefield for fun. Like you can have 2 Hulks on the same team or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's like this Overwatch version of Marvel. And so I think like the success of Marvel Rivals is really worth thinking about. So number one, like from the Disney side, the success of Marvel Rivals, that game is still like 15th on the Steam store chart ranks, SteamDB chart ranks. And if you look at that chart, like most of those games are shooters or do involve like some level of shooting. If you look at which games are still holding up on Steam. So number one, like Disney is involved at least tangentially with Marvel Rivals, right? That was a hugely successful game. Then you look at Epic Games. What are they good at? What are they successful at? They are good at just like max extracting cosmetics money by selling skins on like every single character under the sun and doing like, again, like IP mashups in ways that you would think could cause some brand teams to have a meltdown. But alas, they made millions and millions of dollars on every single skin that gets sold. So like Epic Games with Fortnite plus like Disney with Marvel Rivals, it's like obvious that this is what they would do, in my opinion. But yeah, if we see like, you know, Donald Duck running around with a Glock, like that's going to be seriously bad. So my assessment is contingent on like them having a tiny bit of like taste and recognition around like which characters make sense and how are guns being used in this context. Who is holding a gun? What kind of a gun are they holding? So I think Disney is smart enough to be sensitive around that.
We used to have Toontown, which had this mechanic where instead of shooting, you would run around and throw pies and pull gags on people, and that was really fun. So if it's something like that, then it could be really cool. But that's not what it sounds like from the description. So
you also mentioned Splatoon earlier that I thought was a good comp, but Colan gave us a -10, and he's also saying he disagreed with part of Kate. Yeah, go ahead.
I think, well, first off, I think Disney needs to go over to their collaborators or whomever at Marvel Entertainment walk in the room. They're all run by ex-Blizzard people and say, hey, you guys did a great job licensing your IP over the last couple of years, the last half decade. See Marvel Rivals, see the Insomniac relationship with Spider-Man, and now Wolverine. Guardians of the Galaxy, good game. Square Enix couldn't get out of the trap that they made a really bad Avengers game, but like they've done a good overall job of licensing IP instead of saying we have to make the game. So shout out to them. This just feels so blind and misguided. And so this goes to a larger take out there that, you know, Disney needs to buy Epic, and I just vehemently disagree with that wholeheartedly. And if this is the output of said acquisition, then Disney would be lighting north of $50 billion on fire. Second, I think Epic's really good at one thing, and among a few things, but one thing is litigating. I think that's their core competency. They're great at litigating. They can hire the best attorneys to litigate anything to death. And they are really good about buying forest plots around the world. They can buy green forest plots that'll never be transformed into anything other than what they are. They're good at that too. What they're not good at is running a business, because they never would have gone into litigation because they let their valuation on fire for being off the iOS App Store for better part of half a decade. See kind of all the continual layoffs. You can't get the users back they had, and that's like I think the challenge they're facing. And so I just don't know what Disney's really doing here. And then extraction shooter, like, if it's pies, Chris, is that really going to draw in the audience you're looking for? Like, I don't know. No. Like, they want men. They want male. They should go buy an actual gaming company with IP. That's what they want. They want IP. That's what they're good at. And I've said this take in other forms before. Go buy Blizzard. Just go buy it. Take Warcraft. Take StarCraft. Take Diablo. Make it into other parts of your flywheel. Just go buy the IP. Stop trying to take your IP outside of Marvel and maybe Star Wars and turning it into something else. Just go buy the IP already and then put it in your flywheel mechanism. That's what they should be doing. This is a distraction and a waste of their time and a waste of their shareholders' time. It makes me mad.
Well, I think the problem is, sorry to interrupt, but I think part of the problem that you pointed to is the mismatch between the Fortnite audience and the Disney audience. And originally the idea was, and I've always said Disney should do this deal and should be in business with Epic and possibly buy them. They were going to make a digital Disneyland, which made a lot of sense to me as a standalone product. The problem is that what I hear is they canceled that, and now they're doing these kind of Fortnite integrations, and I think that falls short of of the promise of the investment. And also for Disney characters, that audience is on Roblox. It's not on Fortnite.
Kate wants to respond. Go ahead.
I mean, we don't know what IP is being used here, right? We don't know if it's Mickey Mouse holding an AK-47. What if I told you it was like James Cameron's Avatar and you were in that world, which is highly militarized, involves a ton of military presence from humans, from the characters in the game? What if it was an Avatar, James Cameron Avatar extraction shooter? Suddenly, I feel like the conversation would completely change. So it's very
we saw how well
on,
that Avatar game did. Didn't they already try it? And it bombed?
Didn't Disney just kill Avatar Land at Disneyland to replace it with Zootopia? Like, they're like, get out of here, Avatar. You're out. Zootopia, come on in.
Yeah,
but
it's not 2008 anymore. You know?
Hold on. The argument that you're making about the genre of game defining the audience, like maybe the people who are in Avatar are not the people visiting the parks, right? So I think that like you can turn the argument that you were making around on, oh, well, didn't they cancel this so people don't want it? Maybe they just don't want it in that form. Whatever. It's not my turn. I'm not going to give my whole point here, but I think like you can twist it around however you want to serve your own needs. But I think like we can't discount the fact that this is Disney and that there is like a multitude of IPs at play here. And there's also such a thing as like, and I hate the term, not that I'm one, but like it just makes me cringe every time I hear it. But like Disney adults, like there are people who will eat whatever slop they feed them, right? Yeah. So like let's not discount any of that.
There also seems to be with Fortnite like a complete desensitization to the idea of shooting things and other people, right? We just like turned the bullets blue and all of a sudden everybody's like, it's fine that you're literally holding an AK-47 and shooting and you're 4 years old. Like nobody seems to care anymore. So maybe Donald Duck can have a revolver. I don't know.
That's America for you, honestly.
Yeah, right.
It really is. Michael, tagging you in.
Yeah, so I think it's a travesty because it's just there's so many genres that Disney could crush right now with their semblance of IP. And the one that I want to just bring to the table here is Kingdom Hearts was a masterpiece, and it's still a masterpiece. And if Disney had come out and said, hey, we're going to remake Kingdom Hearts with all of our new IPs that we have right now, I kind of think it'd be bigger than GTA 5, or at least rival GTA 5 in terms of, or excuse me, GTA 6 in terms of hype, because the cult classic following from Kingdom Hearts is incredible. And the amount of like diehard people I still see online talking about Kingdom Hearts, going through the story, talking about it, like it is such a beloved IP, and it was done so well, mixing all of these different stories in Disney in a way that you never thought possible in the Disney universe. It's sitting right there for them to do something similar. I'm not saying remake Kingdom Hearts, but like the idea is already there. Why not do something original like you did back then? And I get, shareholders don't like original things and there's so much risk involved. But if you're doing the same thing as everybody else and the game bombs, then to me, that's enough of a risk to try something that was one of the biggest successes in gaming of all time. So the way I look at it is just you drop the ball trying to do what everybody else is doing when you have this idea on the table that everybody else loves. And like, I would, if they announced a Kingdom Hearts reboot with all the new IPs, guess what? I'm first in line, ready to go. And I know Gnoc, who's still playing RuneScape, I bet you're second in line right behind me.
With the Arc Raiders comparison, like, doesn't that kind of give you ideas of which kinds of IP are going to be pulled here?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But how many extraction shooters have launched and failed? And I know you brought up Marvel Rivals before, but I personally think Marvel Rivals would have been a complete failure if NetEase was not the one making the game. I think NetEase is the reason Marvel Rivals was a resounding success, because they touch things and it turns to gold. I think if any other studio tried to make Marvel Rivals, we would have been seeing, I forgot what the name of the DC game is, but I forgot for a reason because it sucked. So I don't really see it. I don't really see Marvel Rivals succeeding if NetEase isn't involved. So do I have a lot of faith in Epic? No. And I think this is going to unfortunately crash and burn.
I mean, I think NetEase was good at Marvel Rivals because they published the game in Overwatch in China for a good stretch of time. Was like, this is a good game. We'll just copy it, put a new skin, led by people who were pushed out of Blizzard that are at Marvel Entertainment that gave them the license to do so, on top of Hearthstone via Marvel Snap. So I think they made the game well. I think Blizzard would have made the game well too had they gotten the license, but they didn't, and it went to NetEase because I don't know, opportunity, blah blah blah. Good game though, so I agree with that. Generally speaking,
Interesting that Arc Raiders was the other comp too, because a lot has been said about how much the development of Arc Raiders was funded by the development of the finals and how that tech stack actually helped them build a lot of that system. Gnoc, I'm going to you. Then we're tagging in Kohji.
There's such a fundamental problem with the genre that they've chosen here. I mean, like, listen, part of the reason why Rivals is as successful as it is, and ignoring this as just revisionist history, is the fact that it launched within the 3-year window between I hate Overwatch and I like Overwatch. And if that window didn't exist, they would not have had the success that they did, because there was a gap that they filled well with IP that people understood and resonated with. And it was a good game. So it had everything that you needed for success there. The problem with an extraction shooter is, by design, you are creating a game that has to be hardcore. The entire core loop around an extraction shooter is risking things that you currently own into an instance in which that you might not come out of those things. And if you don't have that risk of losing the things that you own, the actual excitement and tension that it is meant for an extraction shooter cannot exist. So you look at something like Disney, and if you're not leveraging IP like Avatar, which honestly, Kate, until you said it, didn't even think of it, that's a great idea. But if you go any other route than the Avatar IP, then it's really difficult to align an audience that cares about things like Mickey Mouse and align an audience that cares about things like extraction shooters, which are by nature hardcore. The other problem with what Chris had mentioned, or the Splatoon route, is that you cannot have characters use different abilities than one another in an extraction shooter, because fundamentally the reason why an extraction shooter is risky is because everybody is after your gear. And if you kill somebody who doesn't have a thing that you need because your character uses a different attack type, it doesn't make any sense. I think that there are fundamental flaws in going the route of an extraction shooter while trying to leverage the Disney IP. And I think the audiences naturally will be at odds with one another, because you can't have family friendly and high tense action in the same sentence, it does not make sense. And that's where extraction shooters live or die. You look at Arc Raiders as the comparison everybody's given. Even Arc Raiders, by far the most successful extraction shooter that's launched in the last 5 years. What is the major issue that they have? People are complaining we should have a PvP only mode. If you want a PvP only extraction shooter, you're doing fetch quests. That's what World of what is it called? Oh my god, I'm losing it. That's what WoW is for, right? WoW is where you go to do fetch quests for 40 hours, not an extraction shooter.
Kate, back to you, then over to Kohji.
I mean, okay, I know everyone here is a hardcore gamer, but like there are casual versions of almost every genre, I would argue. And I think like Pokemon Unite is an example of like a MOBA game being pretty casual and being casual friendly. And like there are ways that like quote unquote like hardcore game genres can become more casual friendly. Like there are ways that can happen. There are ways that you can just jump into Overwatch, which was an extremely competitive game, and you can just mess around and play Thomas the Tank Engine, which I have done, both of. So there's kind of this spectrum, right, of casual versus hardcore, and I think Fortnite has that too. I think Epic Games has done that too. They have done a competitive battle royale shooter, but then they also have like this massive UGC ecosystem that's like pretty casual, and but for some people it's hardcore. So I just think like that's kind of in the eye of the beholder of like what someone considers to be like really competitive and hardcore, and like that can change person to person. And I just think just because it's an extraction game doesn't mean that it's not casual friendly.
Yeah, I definitely would have originally said in 100-person battle royale is a hardcore game until Fortnite proved that, 6-year-olds will love it. Gnoc, you have a rebuttal?
I'll just give a quick rebuttal here, which is I think that's exactly what it means. I think by nature, an extraction shooter is hardcore. What you've described is a bunch of games that are not hardcore by design of like the actual game, but become hardcore because of the community that plays it. League of Legends, Overwatch, all of these games become hardcore because there's a ceiling that people want to chase, and they want to chase the competitive version of that game. But when you're building an extraction shooter,
is hardcore by design.
I think League is more hardcore than something like a Fortnite, but I don't think League is fundamental to the point with an extraction shooter is the entire core gameplay loop is go in and risk the gear that you have worked so hard to gather. By nature, that is exceptionally hardcore, and it puts it as a default setting instead of something that develops with the community. So it's really difficult to play an extraction shooter in a casual sense, which every single time that you load up into an extraction shooter, you risk losing everything that you've worked hard for, and you're building up from zero. So a death in an extraction shooter is effectively a small death to the account that you've created, which I think by nature makes it a lot more hardcore than games that develop hardcore communities.
Do we know that they're going all like Tarkov in terms of the stakes with this? I don't think we know that yet, right? Like maybe you do just respawn with the same base gear.
And that goes back to the fetch quest thing, right? If you're building an extraction shooter that's a fetch quest, go play WoW.
Guys, look, I love you, and I said 4 here for my sentiment score because we have there's a long history of them making things and abandoning them. Like look at the fucking Lorcana or whatever. And so I'm with you. Like this is probably not the best, but like my sweet summer children, you think of Disney and you think of Star Wars, you think of their Mickey Mouse characters, and you think of Marvel, and you're like, well, what else is there? And then someone mentions Avatar, you're like, oh yeah, let's not forget that these guys bought Fox. Okay. Think about an IP that is they have doubled and tripled down on recently that has a lot of death and killing. And it's not Avatar, Alien, Predator. Okay? Both of those things are things that have had a huge resurgence recently, have a ton of killing, and would work really fucking well for an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
Like all we have to do is stop for a second. And that's just like 2 on the list of a litany of things that they own that you probably
Die Hard
that they owned. Yeah, Die Hard's another
Terminator, I think. Yeah.
Maze Runner, fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The list goes on and on and on. It doesn't matter. But my point is that like you're digging like an inch deep, and you're like, oh, there's nothing here. I promise you, there's gold as far as you want to dig down.
Oh my God.
It's there.
If they do a Predator one, I take it back. I'm playing that.
I mean, you're describing bad money chasing bad money, like the worst acquisition, one of them of all time, this Fox acquisition that they'll never make their money back out of on an ROI perspective. And they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to double down on the other one. Epic. Let's chase that with IP. I don't know. This feels like sunk cost fallacy here. Where
Yeah,
like
but
you
would have said that. You would have said that about the new Predator things before they came out. You would have said that about Alien Earth before they released that. Like, oh, I can't believe they're going back to that well. And it turns out that not only is it fucking amazing, but it's also super profitable. So like, I think like we should all hold our tongue a little bit. Again, my sentiment score is a 4. So I'm not saying it's a 10. I'm not like defending this to the death, but I'm saying that like the negatives are way fucking off. Never discount Disney because they have more in their tool chest than you could possibly imagine.
Even if you take everything that you said into consideration there, I still hold true to the sense that of extraction shooter, a genre which is historically very difficult to break into, a genre in which there are really only 2 successful games, is a terrible first place to start for your gaming universe. Regardless of what you said, which to be fair, Kohji, great points. I think between you and Kate, you've changed my mind a little bit about what that extraction shooter could look like. I still think it's a terrible fucking idea because it's a hardcore game and it's the first game that you're delivering in your universe of video games. And you're literally starting with the smallest of smallest pieces of the gaming pie.
I mean, there's no question that they have great IP and that there are IPs in there that could work for an extraction shooter. I think we're all just reacting to how it was reported as a Disney extraction shooter. If they had said a Marvel extraction shooter or a Avatar extraction shooter or a Star Wars extraction shooter, I think we'd all be more like, maybe it's a 6, maybe it's a 7. And then we talk about whether they can execute such a thing within Fortnite. I think it's just the way they came off. I do want Payday raid Scrooge McDuck's vault. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would like to shout out that Disney is not completely bad at taking their IP, but it's more targeted at that, like Kate brought up, that like less core audience. Like Disney Dreamlight Valley, pretty successful game, but it's a cozy game, right? So it's just going after a user base that's more likely to be interested in a certain kind of genre as opposed to the extraction shooter, which I think is maybe why I'm all the way down to -10. This is the wrong genre. It's too core. It's like the core shooter game, right? That is very, very hard to make accessible. If Bungie couldn't make it accessible, then I look around and say, how on earth is Epic and Disney going to make it accessible?
I know, but to be fair, like you would have said the same thing about Marvel creating their own movie studio or a bunch of other, like, yes, it is hard, but we've seen these companies do hard things successfully before, or they wouldn't be here with what they're doing. And I'm not saying that it's a guaranteed success, but to discount it immediately, to be like, well, so many other people have failed, so there's no way that these guys are going to be able to do it is insane.
I think Disney would be amazing if they wanted to take a plot of Orange County land, tear it down, and build Fortnite land. I bet they'd do a really good job at that because they're good at that sort of thing. What they're bad at is making games, but maybe Epic can make a good game. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think Epic's going to be more playing the hands. Like when I think of Disney games, I think of all the Star Wars games that already came. I don't think of like, oh, Disney employees made this game. I think of just the IP and this broad universe that has shown that there's an appetite for like a wide range of Disney IP across a wide range of platforms. So it kind of sounds like this news got leaked, which means that like we don't know everything, and it's probably didn't come out in the way that Disney is eventually going to market it. Like, I don't think they're going to market this as like a Disney shooter. Like, I think we're going to like this information just kind of came out, and we're going to get more information, and we'll have a clearer picture on what to argue about in the future.
Have a magical day.
No better note to end on that. But Gnoc alluded to this, which is part of the issue is this is the announcement of their entire universe, or sort of the leading off. And I think if it's a killer game with a lot of success and super high quality, people are going to be so excited about all of the other games that come after it. And if it flops, people are going to be so underwhelmed with everything that comes after it, unless it's mind-blowing. Once you set that expectation, it is so hard to undo it. We are running a little bit short on time, so Lems, heads up. I'm going to skip to topic number 5. If we have time, we'll go back to number 4. But Bigger deal, Ashes of Creation or Gunzilla? I'm asking you guys to pick one of the two, and I'm going to give a little bit of an abridged version. I'll put some sources in the YouTube comments for anybody that wants to read along with this, but there's plenty to read. There's two separate controversies happening right now. In the case of Ashes of Creation, the MMO Kickstarter, reports allege that the former studio leadership used company Kickstarter linked money on personal expenses like was $40,000 worth of Magic the Gathering cards, private chefs, and luxury housing. In the case of Gunzilla, serious reports and allegations are circulating around the Web3 gaming company and its founders, including Russian-linked mafia funding and financial misconduct. They didn't pay some employees or contractors, and broader governance concerns. I want to be clear, I'm not treating this as an unresolved allegation and that it's all proven fact. I don't know, we don't know, but this is what's being reported about both companies. The more useful discussion is what story represents in the business of games with Ashes. The issue is the founder, misusing the player trust, the Kickstarter funds, and whether communities can still believe in ambitious MMO promises after stories like this. With Gunzilla, do we still lack due diligence, source of funds scrutiny, and stuff like that? The game mode, again, bigger deal. Which one sticks out to you?
Gunzilla's the biggest deal ever, comparably.
Wow. Excited to dig into that with you with your legal background. Gnoc, going to you.
Ashes, for sure.
Gunzilla, and happy to share what I know there too.
Asking me if I want to be shot or stabbed, and the answer is Star Citizen.
Gunzilla, and it's not even close.
I guess if I go Gunzilla, I feel both. I think Chris hit they best. It's not either are great, but I'm gonna go Gunzilla.
Yeah, let's go over to Gnoc first to tell us why it's actually Ashes, contrarian here.
It's because we're poisoning a new well. The crypto well has already been poisoned. I think Kickstarter is supposed to be this like safe haven, this opportunity. We saw something great out of the Cyberpunk TCG, and whether or not you think that will succeed, I don't. But whether or not you think that will succeed, they did something pretty incredible with the amount of funds that they were able to bring through the Kickstarter. And I think a lot of indie titles are looking at Kickstarter as a potentially interesting route to get additional funding, bring in part of the community, tell a little bit of a story, and hopefully bring people along with the development route. Now, the problem with what happened with Ashes of Creation is, where does that money go? It's not even really a poor use of funds in the sense that maybe we spent too much money building out this team, or we built a game that nobody likes. Guy just bought Magic the Gathering cards. It was a Kickstarter to give this guy, trips around the world on a PJ, some caviar with breakfast, and a couple of Black Lotus and other Power 9 cards and PSA 10s, right? This is the goal of where that money went. And I think that is fundamentally frustrating for anybody who is looking at Kickstarter as a potential revenue stream, or rather a funding stream. So I think that's obviously the bigger deal because it's poisoning a new well. I'll give one tidbit to the Gunzilla story, which is the craziest fucking thing of everything that's gone on, is the post from, I believe, the CEO, where, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he effectively says, we're sorry if the way that we pay you doesn't work for you, but we're going to do what works for our books. That's the most fucking insane part of the Gunzilla story here, on top of everything else. And again, I'll leave it there. It's Ashes. Leave new wells alone. We don't need to poison it. Crypto's already poisoned.
Knock. Okay, I'm gonna let whoever goes next go, but the naivety is like shining through so large right now. The fact that you think that Kickstarter is like this hollowed ground, you probably bought NFTs and were I'm a shareholder.
No. I have the Ridge wallet issue. I've been scammed on Kickstarter about 3 dozen times.
You bought NFTs and you were like, I'm a shareholder now. The amount of projects that have popped up on Kickstarter that people have given money to and then have just flat out disappeared and delivered absolutely nothing is astronomical. And so the fact that there's another one, like I'm not even shocked. I'll save it for like when I get called on, but I'm just saying, like, you're out of your mind, brother.
No, Kohji, I want you to cook on this. I mean, for people that don't know that are listening, Kohji, co-founder of Parallel, one of the most successful Web3 games of all time. So I'm curious what your take is on especially Gunzilla being, again, one of the leaders in that side of the industry and now facing even more scrutiny than they were already probably under. I mean,
I'm also biased. So like for me to say that that's a bigger deal, it's because it scares me more. It's just like any one of us, Web3 gaming is very small. And so for them to like garner a negative reputation, whatever they have done or haven't done, you know, I wasn't there. I don't really know all the details, but like for them to shine that light and have that reputation, it just like makes the rest of us look bad. So that's a big deal. But it's also just like, you know, the allegations of not paying your employees or whatever. Like if you're going to do that, just let them go. Like, why would you keep them, make them work, and then be like, hey, guess what? We're not paying you. Just like, I would think that it would be, you know, the more sort of the right thing to do would be to just be like, look, we're running out of money. We got to let you guys go or whatever. But I think that like that breaches a level of trust that is far more important than, you know, I started a Kickstarter project and guess what? You're getting like half of what I offered you, because like, you know, I've done dumb things like back waterproof shoes and like weird keyboards and RPGs or whatever on Kickstarter and seen none of it, or the shoes themselves just like are sponges, basically the opposite of waterproof, you know? So like, I think my expectations aren't as high, but when a company says, hey, no, we're the real deal, gets, you know, real Twitch streamers to promote their stuff and is yelling from the rooftops that Web3 is not a scam. And then it turns out like maybe all this bad shit happened, like that's a knife through the heart.
I just want to shame myself because when you said RPGs, I'm like, what the fuck is Kohji going to do with a rocket launcher? But then I realized what you meant by that, and I'm going to shut the fuck up now.
Kate, I wish it was a more positive topic, but I know you've been scrutinizing Gunzilla for quite a long time. Excited to hear what you might be able to share with us about that story and why you think it's a bigger deal.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, not the whole story is not out yet. Number one, so like we don't have all the information publicly yet. But when a few employees of Gunzilla went public on LinkedIn, you know, on their verified LinkedIn accounts, they verified with government IDs saying, "Hey, we haven't been paid. This is an ongoing problem." I completely believe them based on the investigative work that I did when I was still at Blockworks, because I had been in touch with a bunch of game testers for Off the Grid that live in Ukraine and had been, you know, getting not really paid through this intermediary who Gunzilla hired as like a third party person. So basically there's there was a Telegram group full of like 800 game testers that were all hired to test Off the Grid and basically do anything from just play the game to all they had to do is just decode hexes every single day. And they were given various tasks. They were told to be on various servers at various times. And so there were, you know, almost 1,000 of them. And these were all people in Ukraine, men and women, people who just wanted to be away from the war and just wanted jobs. And so I was working very hard to try to get like verification on this. It's hard with the language barrier, obviously. Most of them, English is very, very difficult. But the TLDR is that these contractors, there are dozens and dozens of them that claim that they have not been paid. And there's this big Telegram group with 800 people that say, yeah, the payments are delayed, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And so based on my work and based on like, if you sign up for Glassdoor and you go look at Gunzilla and you see how bad their reviews are, you see how their rating for under the compensation category is like a 2 out of 5. You'll see reviews going back to, I believe, 2023 or 2022 of employees saying, I haven't been paid in months. I haven't been paid in weeks. Why aren't they paying their employees? This company needs to pay their employees. So this is a long-standing issue with them. As to why this is happening, I don't know, but this appears to, there is a documented history of reports from both full-time employees and contractors basically saying, hey, we're not getting paid on time. Our pay is being delayed by weeks or months. And in terms of how much money we're talking about, these contractors are making pennies. They are making like $20 US a week. And for some reason, that payment can't get processed, which is bonkers to me. So it's just really disappointing to see, coming from a game that really was quite confident in their ability to succeed. Just this long-standing history of not paying people on time is just really bizarre to me. And I don't know why they would allow this to happen for so many years.
Kate, does the additional allegations of like Russian mafia, et cetera. I don't want to get too into it, but does that, I don't know, make this clearer or more convoluted in your eyes?
Definitely more convoluted, right? Like the whole story with shrapnel also got pretty convoluted over time once, the Chinese government got involved. And, when I learned about that information before it went live, my editor didn't believe me. They were like, really? The Chinese government is involved with shrapnel? I don't believe you. That sounds too crazy to be true. And I'm like, it is. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's going to go live sooner or later. So some of this stuff, like, it sounds crazy and then it comes out eventually to be proven true. So TBD on that. I'm just learning about that, those allegations from the Ukrainian news sites. But yeah, I'm sure there's more to the story, and I'm sure that more crazy things will eventually come out, because I think a lot of people want to get paid, and I think a lot of people are getting frustrated.
Colin, over to you. What's your bigger deal here?
I mean, it's the same thing as everyone else, Gunzilla. But like, to me, this is like kind of echoing back to our first topic. The reason why gamers, like, I hate to make this about AI, but the reason why gamers are so anti-AI is the last big tech thing to happen in the gamer space was Web3. And they saw so much scamming and so much arbitrage back to whomever, whether it be the actual makers of the game or just the whales behind there, where they're just like NFTs and all this stuff is nonsense. And they look at every other technology thing as nonsense. So I think it's just poison the well, not just for that company in that game, but just the ecosystem overall, where there's just a skepticism when it comes to any sort of technological revolution or forward momentum. So that's my POV on that. It's just gamers are just now incredibly more skeptic than they already were. Just double down on skepticism across everything that's influencing things just outside of Web3 beyond that.
Fair take there. Michael, over to you, brother.
Yeah, so I personally think this is less about what gamers think and more about the fact that, maybe the biggest high profile game of an entire genre was being funded by, Russian oligarchs as a front for them to go buy other things. I think that is the biggest deal ever that we're kind of overlooking. I don't think it has anything to do with gamers. I don't think it has anything to do with anything other than the biggest title that won Game of the Year is being funded by Russian oligarchs and having them buy mansions and boats and things like that to get around sanctions in the world. Like, that's a pretty big deal. That's the dirty, dark side of crypto that the general public always says, like, oh, crypto's the crime. Crypto is for criminals. Well, yeah, this is kind of proving them exactly right, that crypto is for criminals. And I think it can create kind of a chilling effect for the rest of the industry in terms of venture capital money going into games as well. Chris might have an opinion on this, but it's kind of like if the US government does get involved and they start to like deeply investigate this, and it comes out that this like American-based Web3 game was taking, money to launder it on behalf of, sanctioned entities, then that's going to create the biggest due diligence nightmare for any kind of VC wanting to get into the space still. And for publishers, gamers, et cetera, in the space, like, it's just a net loss all around for everyone if this comes out to be true. Of course, not paying your employees, that's a big deal, but unfortunately that does happen a lot in the Web3 space, and not even Web3, just business in general, but being the money laundered front for sanctioned entities that are literally like on the blacklist on the global stage, that to me is the biggest deal ever, and I don't think it can be overlooked.
Michael is has something against Russian money in gaming, but is okay with Middle Eastern money in gaming for sure. He probably bought a ticket to the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
What's wrong with Middle East? The Gulf is our allies right now, Kohji. What are you implying over there?
I mean, I'm not a
Canadian.
Look, I'm not an American, but yeah, I was around in 2001, so maybe there's nothing wrong with the Middle East. I don't know.
It depends on the country. Depends on
Absolutely.
A lot of things.
I mean, a lot of nuance there.
Depends who requires you to download spyware on your phone before you can enter their country.
I also, one quick note there. I believe their headquarters is in Germany. I don't know how that would affect the legality there. I'm sure it could similarly be prosecuted, but probably by their government instead of ours. With that said, let's go ahead and move on. Spicy topic there, and appreciate again the insights that you were able to bring to the table, Kate, especially. Up next, bullish or bullshit, a Roblox game is getting a movie already. A movie based on 99 Nights in the Forest. A Roblox action survival game is reportedly in development at 20th Century Studios, with the game's creators attached as executive producers. 99 Nights in the Forest is an action survival game where players must brave 99 nights in, you guessed it, a haunted forest. The mission is to rescue 4 lost children while fending off vicious deer and other beasts. In less than a year, the game has become the 7th most played Roblox game of all time, nearly 26 billion lifetime visits, and a player rating of 90%. The game has an all-time peak concurrent of 14.2 million players. By 20th Century Studios, is this smart recognition of internet native game culture, or a sign that the adaptation machine is now consuming anything with traction, even if it's completely irrelevant to the grand scheme of Hollywood and entertainment? Chris, I know that you've been doing victory laps around your apartment as Roblox becomes even more part of popular culture. I'd love to go to you first.
I mean, I think it's great. I think it just shows that gaming is culture now. It's just another proof point. Hollywood has worn all of its franchises out. They've all been destroyed in the culture war. They need new IP to destroy. So, they've got to turn to the video game industry. I kind of laugh because, this is one of those things where after 2 really successful but poorly rated Five Nights at Freddy's movies, somebody at Paramount was like, to their assistant, like, get Roblox on the phone. We need some kind of horror property, right? It's funny because I told when Blum got that property for Five Nights, I told Universal, I was like, this thing is going to go bananas. And they were like, really? I'm not sure. I'm like, you wait. I was like, every millennial and young Gen Z person played Five Nights. So I think this could be the Gen Z, version of that. I think it could do very well.
Kohji accurately calling me out in the comments for butchering the around the horn part of that. Kohji, bullish or bullshit?
I could not be more bullish on this. Well, it depends on how you look at it. First of all, I mean, I love movies in general, and I think in 2026 and in the future, movies are so back. So like, this is amazing. But also, just from like a business perspective, let's just look at the top grossing films of 2026. Okay. At number 2 so far is Super Mario Galaxy Movie. At number 4, we have Hoppers. At number 8, we have Goat. What do all of these things have in common? And I could go down the list. There's more of them. They're for kids, right? Kids movies make money. Kids are one of the largest demographics that still go to the theater. So why not do that? And people are like, oh, well, this is like a pretty loose IP for them to be building a movie on. Well, you know what some of the worst fucking adaptations of all time were? Avatar: The Last Airbender, Dragon Ball Evolution, Artemis Fowl, The Dark Tower. I mean, these are just off the top of my head, but like, these are the richest, most lore-filled IPs you can get, and those movies were absolute dog shit. So I say, like, have at it. Like, good adaptation material does not mean good movie, and bad adaptation material does not mean bad movie. Give it to me. I'm here for this. I'm here for Zach Kreger's Resident Evil that's coming up pretty soon. That's supposed to be fucking amazing. I'm here for the Elden Ring movie by, I can't remember the director now, but also one of my favorite
Alex
directors.
Garland.
Thank you. Yes, Alex Garland. Devs is an incredible TV show, and Ex Machina was an amazing movie. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about movies, but my point is this is amazing. I could not be more bullish.
We have Mortal Kombat 2 this year. We have Street Fighter this year, both of which look great and are going to crush it. It's a big time for, we have Fallout, right?
Chris is here for Masters of the Universe. I know it.
Yeah. I'm here for Masters of the. Well, I'm nervous about it. I'm very nervous.
That one's going to be.
I'm nervous
garbage,
too,
dude. I know you know people from that franchise, Chris, and I hope that I'm wrong, but that thing looks awful. I've fallen asleep.
It's scary.
Here's the thing. The one thing that gives me hope is the people who have seen it say that the preview misrepresents what the movie is. It's actually supposed to be a campy comedy and not like a serious whatever. So like it could be. I think it's salvageable.
That would be how to salvage it. Michael, tagging you in.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this is extremely bullish. People are, millions of people are already playing this game. They've already generated so much revenue. All they have to do is effectively take that attention and say, hey, now come see the movie, which the demographic, in my opinion, is the demographic who would absolutely go see this movie, just because they're now hyped that their Roblox, invention is making it to the big screen. And I know gamers, when that happens for something that you never thought it would happen for, you usually support that more than anything in the world. So I think that this is going to be a resounding success for them. The movie doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be good enough to get them to want to go see it. And I can't see how this fails because they've already done the hardest part, which is getting people to care in the first place.
Yeah, with 26 billion visits, certainly plenty of eyeballs are familiar with the IP. It feels weird calling it the IP, but yeah, Kate, go ahead, bullish or bullshit on this one.
Yeah, I'm bullish. I like anything with a bit of a horror edge, even if it's like sort of campy fun for kids. And yeah, I mean, in terms of like, is it going to make money? The answer is like, yes, it's going to make boatloads of money. So if all that matters is like, is this going to make like Minecraft movie level money? Not that level, but it's going to make a lot of money. So that really is kind of what's dictating what gets made in Hollywood right now and for how much. And in terms of who's going to the theaters and for what are they going to the theaters, it's literally all IP. You can't get a movie on a $10 million budget into a theater really at all right now. So you have to have like a budget of like 50 million plus basically at this point. And so, yeah, I think like all this IP stuff, it's continuing. So yes, I'm bullish in terms of like, is this going to make money? The answer is yes. Am I excited that this is the future of movies? Not really. So yeah.
By the way, there's a study that just came out saying that Gen Z is the most active movie going generation right now. So this is right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah. Oh, one thing.
They have that study for every generation. They're like the millennials when they were in their 20s was the most active generation of movie going. I'm sure the Gen X studies out there too. It's anyone under 20 is the most active generation.
Fair enough.
One thing I wanted to add that I forgot to mention is just that IP is also low stakes, right? People are so diehard about this that if it's not done right, they're going to lose their shit, which is, I think, what makes it a perfect IP. And just to combat Kate's, like, the only thing people care about is IP. And I know what you mean, but like in the top 20 list of films so far, even this year, there's at least a third of them are originals. We have things like Crime 101 and Send Help and Shelter and Mercy. So like, people are going back to the theater, and they're actually going
those
back
all
to see
horror though, right?
Like adult drama too. Well, Crime 101's is like a thriller. It's like Heat. So anyway,
yeah, original horror is like this niche that's emerging. That Sinners and things like that, they're able to be actually original and make money at the box office.
I will say though, Sinners was terrible.
Really?
Bro. No, get out of here. This is another podcast, but like this is insane. Yeah. What you're saying is absolutely insane.
I love horror movies. Sinners was terrible. Sorry.
Wow.
Capital T.
Wasn't it nominated for Movie of the Year?
Yeah, because movie awards mean a lot of things these days.
It won some Academy Awards.
That's crazy.
How much money did
Are you just a from dusk till dawn stan? Are you like
he's a he thinks from dusk till dawn is better? Yeah.
Yeah, like
I just thought it was terrible. I expected so much more. People hyped it up like it was movie of the year, and I went in and I was like, wow, that was a total waste of maybe 95 minutes.
Look, Irish gigs are not for everyone. I understand. When they're jigging out in the parking lot, you're like, well, what am I watching?
Yeah, there were some moments. I thought Weapons was better than it got credit for too. Anyway, let's move on. I think we have time to squeeze in.
Wait, I got a proposition for what this movie should look like. Hold on. Listen, all right. Not only am I fucking bullish on this, Sam, but I need to tell you what I want this to look like. I think that this should look like a Love and Monsters or a Malcolm in the Middle, fourth wall breaky. It's a horror game, but they're going through their experience. They're kind of like a fucking Jumanji style movie, like shit like that. I think would do well where it hits the core audience, which is children. Sprinkle in couple of things that kids aren't going to understand that I'm going to laugh at in the theater. They're going to ask their parents about why that guy's laughing so hard. I think shit like that in a movie like this is a great idea. But more importantly, I think if this works, you're going to see a ton of this. Private equity is buying up YouTube channels. Why? Because YouTube channels come with trust. It's part of the reason why you're starting to see YouTubers develop movies. You saw Iron Lung come out of Jacksepticeye. He got Bloodborne. You're going to see trust transferred into traditional media. And I think what you're seeing here is, if this can work, there are about 1,000 game modes in Roblox and Minecraft that are going to turn into movies. I want to see a Bed Wars movie. I want them all to be absolutely fucking hilarious. I want fourth wall breaks. I think that they can do this well. I think the one way that they screw this up is if they put this movie out and they even try to be serious with it. I think that's where this goes belly up and the pipeline dries up really quickly. But this could be something hilarious, and I hope that they go the route of not taking themselves too seriously.
I hard agree with you there. Colin, going to you.
I gotta jump, but I got like one take on this one, which is this is what Disney should be doing. So 20th Century's one making this adaptation, or at least got the rights to it. This is exactly what they should take gaming IP and insert it into the other parts of the Disney flywheel. This is exactly what they should be doing, not trying to build games, not to go back to that topic, but like smart. Like, look, you know, I remember when everyone was like, why is no one's gonna watch this Five Nights at Freddy's movies? I'm like, do you guys all know that YouTube was built on the back of Five Nights and Matt Pat and all the kind of lore content breakdown of Five Nights? Like that was like the millennial horror offshoot kind of game, and like I kind of knew it was gonna be a success. And this kind of similarly feels like the same vibe. They should be making swings at this kind of IP to get kids to go to the theaters. I guess I always think kids go to theaters. Like I guess my kid's Gen Alpha, so someday they will be also in the same study that Chris quotes, where they say, "Look at Gen Alpha loves going to the movies when they're 15. Go figure. They don't want to be around their parents anymore."
I just want to comment on the Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a really popular game now on Steam called Five Nights at Epstein's Island, it's obviously the same exact game. But I just wanted to say the next generation is going to be all right. It'll be all right.
I feel trapped in that game.
Real quick, Colin, we have a tradition at the end of every episode where we have all the panelists vote for their MVP of the panel. Do you mind giving us yours before you jet?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Kate because I really thought that's the background on the crypto stuff was really interesting. So shout out to that and all the background on that. That was great. Good stuff.
I love that. Great work today, Colin. Awesome to have you. Actually, I think we are getting a little bit too close to the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and do the MVP voting. We'll wrap here. Kohji, I'm going to you next. Who's your MVP, brother?
Yeah, I got to give it to one of the newcomers for sure. I'll give it to Kate because she was very insightful. I agree with what Colin said. Also, I'm an ally and I support women. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do any of those things. But no, I think that she was really smart, and I actually just want to encourage. I actually want to encourage Sam to bring on some new blood into this because it revives the rest of us. I feel
that was a roller coaster ride of an MVP vote. Chris, who you got, buddy?
Oh, it's so hard. Oh, between Colin and Kate. I gotta give it to Kate. That reportage was pretty good.
Kate, who's your MVP of the day?
Oh man. I mean, I think I have to give it to Gnoc, giving me someone to disagree with today. Appreciate it.
Gnoc, who you got, bud?
Listen, I normally give it to the new guys, but Kohji did something in this episode that he hasn't done in the previous 156 episodes prior to this. And he brought out stats like Gnoc does about things that are actually happening in real life. And I appreciate it. You're my MVP, Kohji.
Michael, last but not least, who's your vote?
My MVP's got to go to Kate, but I'm going to say honorable mention to Gnoc for staying consistent with his terrible ideas and opinions, but it's going to go to Kate today.
Kate, congratulations. Back on the panel, winning the MVP. 60 seconds of FaceTime. Take us away.
Oh man. Well, thanks guys for having me back on. Yeah, love the show, love the format, love the experimentation, and yeah, I love that we're really just talking about the broader entertainment industry, gaming. I think there's so much going on. There's so much intersection between all of it. So like the crypto bubble is kind of boring. So I'm stoked that there's more to talk about. And yeah, thank you, Sam, for having me.
You and me both. Can't wait to have you back. And Colin, great work on your very first episode. I know you have to jet. Looking forward to having both of you back very, very soon. And Kohji already back in dad mode. I haven't even finished the episode.
Say hi.
Hi.
I love it.
Hi, T.
Bye.
Hi.
That's going to do it for Gamified 156. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you back same time, same place very soon.
Bye-bye.